Okay, 5 o'clock. I'd like to call the Public Works to order. Up first, Tony, I'm supposed to tell you that you were last, so we're going to put you last, but no, you're first. Come on up.
We were going to pick no, it's who gets their agendas in first.
It was Kelly's idea to
So we thought
stir you up a little bit.
I wasn't expecting everybody being here already. And I got mine in real early.
You did?
Yeah.
I know.
All right.
And it doesn't have a whole lot of signing things either, so it's a good
No,
thing. You know, right, you know?
it's kind of an easy one tonight.
You spent all your money already this year. That's what you did. So, you know.
I got nothing left.
I know you're always early in the year. January, here we come with new trucks.
Yeah. As you can see, we still don't have more. I can say that our one of our plow trucks from 2022 that we ordered is all done up at Wax.
Yep.
And we'll be heading back to Tracy for the final inspection.
Okay,
So,
awesome.
we should have
You're gonna
that.
see it
by
before
then.
snow flies, huh? Maybe,
Yeah.
you know, the
Yeah.
idea.
And I'm not quite sure where the other cabin chassis is. We were supposed to see that sometime this month, but it hasn't shown up yet. But it's progress.
Tell me that they're moving now.
Well, there was two, we ordered the two together in 2022. And then we ordered two more this year, one with the ARPA funds and one out of chips. So I don't.
So is it a 2022 truck or? is
It's
it a
actually a 2024.
It is.
Yeah.
Is that a
I'm
So-
curious.
Yeah,
It's the Western side. Yeah, and the driver, actually the guy who's gonna get it, picked it up at Wax today and drove it up to Albany, up to Tracy, and he was really happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know you guys are.
That new
happy
Western
too.
Star, that's been a very nice truck, yeah.
Yeah, we've got a lot of good feedback from them, so.
Yeah.
All right, road work. Patch crew's winding down for the season. Most of the mowing has been completed for the season. Still some sign maintenance going on. We did some street sweeping for Village of Galatia. And their crews are still currently, I believe they started backfilling the water tank installation. At the fire tower today, so that should be wrapping up soon. Bridge crew, bridge deck replacements on twin bridges. I think they still have some work down there on the one bridge. They completed the seal girder repairs on Rossman Bridge in Stockport.
Mhm.
Completed 117.24 miles of center line and edge line pavement marking on county roads, 27.56 miles on town roads, for a total of 144.8 miles on this round. And so all that'll be left are the three roads that are currently being paved. So when that's all said and done, we'll only would have missed 84 miles that we didn't pave this year, so, or that we didn't strike this year, so.
Gonna get up to 46 paved.
What's that?
Crow Hill looks great.
Yeah, that came out nice. Yeah, it really did. And we began and actually completed the hot in place recycling on County 19 in Livingston. And we completed the 2 miles of hot in place recycling on County 5 in Canaan. We've also completed the paving on County 5 in Canaan. We completed 2.3 miles of full depth reclamation on County Route 46, and this afternoon they completed the paving on that road as well. So those roads are done. The only road left to be paved is County 19. And I believe Kyle Russo's is leaving the area for a couple of days, for a few days, to pave up in Fulton County and the airport project, and then they'll be back to complete County Route 19. Once that's done, our stripers are on standby and they check in with us every day to see where we're at. I'm a little nervous because we've had such great weather,
Right.
and we keep getting pushed back, so fingers crossed. But that'll wrap up all the major projects construction.
So all the paving in 46 is done? I saw it from 9J side. It
Yeah,
was
what
done
we
pretty well.
ended up having to
Didn't
do
go the whole
originally, we
road,
were on the full depth. Our original plan was to do 2 inches of top on that. And there were some soft spots after the full depth reclamation.
Mhm.
Our paving contractor, as well as Peckham's, who did the reclamation, recommended going with binder on that.
Okay.
So we did 3 inches of binder on it, and I think it came out nice.
Okay.
And then what we'll do is we'll come back in the spring and we'll do a double chip seal on it to seal it. And it should end up being a pretty nice road when we're all said and done.
Good.
We're gonna be starting, I think they're starting shoulder back up on that tomorrow. So we'll start filling some of the
Hasn't been on
shoulders
the
are
road
about
in a
deep.
while, but yeah. Looked like it good from 9J side.
Yeah, I rode across it today after they finished and it rode nice.
Good.
So, it wasn't hard to improve that road.
No, it was rough. Now I'll have speeding complaints, so.
Yeah,
you
no,
know, that'll be
absolutely, you're
nice,
right,
but,
yeah. We got a couple spots where we're gonna be putting up some guide rail, where there's some guide.
Right.
Taken care of.
Thank you.
Yep. We have one senior MEO, still out on medical leave and one MEO out on workers' comp. No new business and only one resolution request. And that's authorization to declare highway unit 39.
Second.
All right,
Get a motion in a second, all in favor?
that's all I got.
Thanks, Tony.
You're welcome, Ken.
Speaking of guardrails, you get my email about the guardrail on County 32?
I did. You sent it to both of us, right? Yeah. I was
We can
off.
talk offline.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if they responded or not.
Question, when you said the mowing's almost done on the county roads, I know a couple weeks back they were parked out in front of my place, you know, they had to lay the track there overnight, but I don't know if they missed the section.
Well,
Came out six,
I
they still have to do
I
it.
don't know if he's done down there. I'm not sure. I know most of the mowing is wrapped up. I know the Hudson mowers are wrapped up. Chris, I don't know what wrapped up last
Just
year.
like Cole Pick and Livingston, we're gonna be a little bit longer.
We're still mowing. Yeah.
All right, so right down on six, the western part of six down towards 9G is like 2 foot tall over the white line.
Okay.
We had to pull him off to mow 19 before they did that work on there, so it should be it.
Just wanted to check. Thank you.
That's good. Oh, additionally, I did have one other thing. We
Okay.
we crack sealing County Route 31.
Okay.
So that started this week and should be done this week. That's the only thing. That was big.
All right, thank you, Tony.
Thank you for the mowing on County. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. DEC called me today. so-
Wendy's up next with solid waste.
They got it quickly, so they had to follow up with it.
We got to-
I was out.
How are you?
How are you?
Good, very good.
Okay, so we did our household hazardous waste on Sunday the 6th. Approximately 297 households participated. It was 262 vehicles, so a couple brought more other residents. So I just put the May, just show you the difference, and that's kind of the breakdown of the households that came in the towns that they were in.
Which is good enough attendance to keep the dual meetings up or no? Dual events.
Quite honestly, if we could do a little more press release and get the attendance for the one spring event on Saturday, and get these people that came in the October to the Saturday event, it would be a good cost savings for the county overall.
To go back to one.
To just go back to one, you know, when you're looking at Sunday events, you're looking at, labor and overtime on that. And also, I know that the number looks decent for the households. It's almost 300 versus 500 in the spring. And I have, we just received the invoice for MXI's, and it's also quite equivalent. It was about 30,000 to the 39, almost 40,000 that we did in the springtime. So as far as amount
Costs
of
almost as much to
money,
do.
it cost almost as much, but it's the amount that we got in was significantly lower. It was just, we got more of the more expensive product in October versus the spring event. So when I get those numbers together for you guys next month, it looked like on paper, it looks like, yeah, it makes sense to do 2 events. But when you really break it down onto, how much volume came in versus how much we're paying out, and then also all of the extra costs for the Sunday versus the Saturday. It's a consideration to maybe going back to just the one.
Yes, Brenda has a question.
Is there a reason why we chose Sunday instead of Saturday for the second one? Because I have a number of people say I'm in church on Sunday or I'm in this one.
Right, and so then the second half of those people say, well, I'm very busy on Saturday and why can't we have it on Sunday? So that was kind of how that kind of came out.
But we
In
have
the
the same
past?
with you on Saturday, right? Yeah.
And I think it also started one year when we,
Not necessarily.
correct me if I'm wrong, Wendy, but one of the years that we started that, I think that MXI wasn't available only on a Sunday. We had it on a Sunday. Everybody said, I like that date, so.
Right, so our first time having to do two was in, when Paint Care came out in 22. And so we had to turn all of those people away on that Saturday.
Okay.
And so a couple of weeks later, you are correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think once Wendy gets the information together and present it to the committee for that month, I think we'll be able to spend a little more time to dissect it and really take a look at it. But it would really be beneficial if we could consider looking at the one cost.
You think it's just because in the spring, a lot of people get on board because they want it after winter, let's clean out, and then during the course of the summer, it just kind of drops off, but people don't bring as much in as the first hit?
I think that's a part of it, but again, as Wendy identified, I think if we get the word out that we're going down to one and we advertise that, then again, that's through the help of the town boards as well.
Right.
Make sure that, it's said several months ahead of schedule that it's only going to be one this year, so people can start compiling their items.
Yeah.
And that way, just do it in one in the spring, and let's see how that goes. Let's see how that works for us.
Good job.
I think it'll be better once you can spend a little more time next month as far as looking at those numbers.
And anytime we can cut 30 grand from our budget next year is not a bad thing, so.
Right.
And I would think you've done it enough years in a row now that people should be pretty well, the first couple of years you did this year, you're getting a lot of.
Oh, yeah, the paint
Well,
care
and I
thing
think the
was new.
Paint Care program was the reason why we had to do two that very first year. But now there's companies here that have to take it back, Mario's, at Harrington's, they all have to take back small quantities of paint now. So the amount of paint we received this last time was significantly less than the spring event. Yeah.
Well, plus we had all those people buying their houses sight unseen up here. And then
Right.
came up to-
They found a basement full of paint, right?
I mean, in perspective, we had 3 trucks in the spring event full. And so we paid 3 transportation fees. This particular event, we had 1 full truck and a partial full. So paid 2 transportation fees for a truck that was,
Yeah.
But still at 75% of the cost of the spring, right?
so, right.
We'll continue to look at that.
Okay. So then, after coming off of last month's meeting, the tip fee increase for municipalities, we spoke about that briefly last month. It's been at $101 a ton for municipalities since, I went back as far as like 2004. And it has never increased over 101 a ton for municipalities. We're charging $150 a ton right now for anyone coming over the scale. And our tonnage fee for the landfill is $91.39, and that doesn't include the transportation cost, and that does not include any of our labor cost at all in that. It's just the $91.39 and then the transportation fee and then the gas fee that is part of our MSW contract. So putting some numbers together, and I really just kind of put numbers together with using just paying the loader and the excavator, the amount of hours, 6 times, 6 days a week, and partial labor, because it's for municipalities, especially, you're coming over the scale, dumping it. So it's just kind of the loader. I had a rough estimate at $128 a ton from $101 a ton.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Before, sir, I got a phone call. The question is, will the commercial rate be going up? And if you could provide a wire line on it.
Sure.
So it's on the.
So our commercial rate just went up, almost 2 years ago now, from 140 to 150. At this time, it's my personal opinion, and I'm not speaking, for the Board of Supervisors, that if we increased that any further, we would lose more tonnage coming into our station from any of the commercial accounts that we do have coming in, because they can go across the river for 125. Gas isn't quite as expensive anymore, so that's a cost savings. And our Barbado and B3, Canaan, B3 transfer stations, their tip fee is also significantly lower than 150 a ton. So in a business sense, I don't think that it would be appropriate for the solid waste department to move that tip fee up more than it is right now at 150 a ton. But that's not to say that the Board of Supervisors might decide to sit down and say they don't agree with that. Our tonnage, the more our tonnage goes down at our station, the higher our cost goes up to ship it out. So our contract is coming up next year for garbage. And it's, we have the option of doing 3 one-year extensions on the current contract that we have, or going out for a new contract. With the tonnage numbers that we have now, our negotiation number for a lower tip fee is impossible. So increasing our tip fee over the scale right now is going to decrease the volume of garbage and C&D debris that we're getting in.
We need to maintain a certain.
And
tonnage to stay in
101 a
business.
ton, honestly, even we're just what we'll be paying for the contract at $91.39 a ton. And that's not the transportation or the fuel that we're paying. So we're paying well over 101 a ton going into next year already. And the conversation keeps coming up whether we're a service or not a service.
Right.
And so at this point, we can't continue at 101 a ton. We're losing money.
Wendy, would you feel that the private contractors, what, you have feel for what they charge per ton? Were they like Barbados or somebody, you know an idea?
Well, like if you went to Barbados,
Yeah,
it's
just say if-
135 or 139 a ton.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
It's under 140. Both of them, I believe, are under 140
In
still.
that area.
It should, I mean, the last I checked, it was 6 months ago. But yes, it was under 140 a ton. It's like 139.50 or something. Their minimum tonnage is 69.50, which is why we get a lot of smaller loads, because our minimum ton is 20. So the minimum over the scale is $20 for us. So we get a lot of things under the half ton, because it's,
Right.
they're saving money there. Anything over that, if they're closer to someplace else,
So
they're
people
going
will
there.
go where they're close to,
And the
that's
gas
just-
prices have gone down, so it makes,
Right, but still.
it makes sense.
Well, it makes sense that you gotta raise the price to cover your costs.
Yeah.
We have to do that. It doesn't make sense to sit there and lose, because you're only doing it for part of the people in the county.
Right,
Everybody has private contractors picking up for them. They're paying the dollar, whatever it is.
right.
So I think if we're gonna spread it, gotta do it fair, I think. Gotta be close to where they are in that area. So that's my opinion.
Is that a motion?
Do you want a motion?
Do you have any other questions?
She's got a resolution.
She has a resolution to
Yeah.
up it to, 128 per
I'll
ton.
move it.
Doesn't mean I agree.
You don't want to raise it?
Kelly, I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
No, I'm.
You're a no? Okay.
Your question was, you're not raising that. Rate.
So then we
So-
subsidize it though, Kathy, with tax, tax
So
dollars, and that's one
Our
of the
tonnage,
concerns,
the tip fee used to be, I mean, like going back in time, so we did a lot of research before coming up with this, because I know 101 to 128 sounds like a huge jump. But our commercial tip fee used to be $75, well, $5 way back in the day. We found things, resolutions for, but $75, and then it jumped to $100, and then it jumped to 125, and then 130, and then 140 was just 2023. I think we smoothed in 2023, it went up to 150 for 140. So our
And
commercial.
we were concerned with that then of
typically
losing business, which it does seem like it did. We're
we
still
have- yeah.
looking at that. And some of it, I think, construction business is off across the county. So, C&D is down because contractors are not as busy too. That's part of it. It's hard to gauge, but I think we did lose some business. And to Wendy's point, we're set up to do a certain number of tonnage and you need to maintain that in
And
order to
when
stay.
we've talked, it's just difficult to put this on the backs,
Sure.
of the Greenport residents. We pay a lot of money for garbage, a lot. So now that's another thing for Greenport to weigh
Sure.
out as well, so. Commercial people.
And Ron, I think that C&D is normalizing. I don't think we're losing it. I think it's.
No, it had spiked that during COVID
Yeah.
time, right? It was crazy.
Yeah.
So I think that volume, we can expect that volume to return.
No.
No,
No,
No.
but we had seen some big numbers there for a while.
Being able to capture some of the commercial accounts that are going elsewhere, though, would be ideal.
And the other folks are just not going up. They're gonna keep them at 135 or whatever.
I believe it's 139.50. It's just like shy of 140.
Very expensive.
Okay.
We're gonna scratch the metal container conversation because I forgot that was in there and it's all taken care of.
Okay.
And so that's about all I have. I have one, my F driver is back. He returned on the 24th and I still have one labor out on workers' comp. And you guys did my resolution.
All right.
Um,
There's your monthly report.
Thanks.
Any questions from Wendy? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you for a great place to clean up.
Now we have Brian up with facilities.
Good evening, everybody. All right, start off, like sometimes we do, file transfers every Wednesday. This was a particularly large one, 95 boxes. Luckily, it was only from the basement up to the third floor. Eventually, we're gonna be putting them back down, but, 401, we, cleaned out the window well on that side of the building and, covered it over with shingles and, and out front, we're just wondering, why the barricades are still there. We're waiting on other projects. We're tearing up some concrete tomorrow to try to fill a truck so we don't get hit with the short load. So, so hopefully within a week or two, we'll have that set. Let's see here, 5-6, I didn't have it on here. But we did have a big, backup for it. We took care of that. Unfortunately, after hours, we found out late. Still in the middle of working on a MIS project, installing their backup UPS, their new UPS. So hopefully, I'm going to get back on it pretty soon. We should have it done in 2 weeks. I'm hoping. Let's see here, and some major like solid waste, repaired a window. Tarp on the office building roof, unclogged the sewer drain, and then extended the fence at Copake transfer station. Try to keep people from going around the actual gate. Let's see. 911, yeah, we had to install some outlets in the new communication towers. So that's all done, and the only thing left for that is the Austerlitz generator, which we'll be doing in the next couple of weeks. Update just real quick on the Mount Ida generator. Next week, I got the electricians coming to put in the new transfer switch and docking station. They're going to cut the water off momentarily on an off day. And I have a generator I'm pulling in just to cover for the 2 weeks that's going to be down. So hopefully by November 4th, should have everything up and running. That's the scheduled date for the startup with the company. So I got, what's this one? Court system. All right. Ask for authorization to renew the budget, period, accept the reimbursement funding from New York State, by court system.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Second one I have is the authorization to create and fill, a full-time labor position, scratch the vacant part. The court system came to me, they requested an additional person, so it's gonna be fully, reimbursable, fully funded, so, it's not gonna cost the county any money.
I'll move it.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
So they're paying the staff.
Yeah.
Year round.
Well, no, we get paid for all the cleaning and everything there, so that's what's gonna, so all the personnel costs, they reimburse us for. So 4 people, so they reimburse that part of the, our recap, so to speak, so. They pay, there's certain things, like if they request certain projects, they fully pay for everything. If it's just normal maintenance, I think it's like 25%, they'll pay for. So but like I said, when they request something, I can, charge them for our workers, like they, call like a contractor coming in their bill, that we track hours and then we submit it at, so like I said, the budget's never perfect. It's always going to change because they do ask quite a bit, anything they request, we take, above normal maintenance. So,
But there is some expense to the county with benefits, insurance, and
they cover that
they
too.
cover everything.
Oh, yeah,
We bill them for
yeah, we
that.
built, like that, and benefit, so, okay, so, yeah. So like I said, it's 100% funded, that position from them, so.
Okay.
Kind of like the soundproofing project we did a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
They wanted something special,
Oh, yeah,
then they pay,
yeah, when they request it, they will pay for it.
Right.
And like I said, I think, that
They have no shortage of
project,
money,
that project over there, I think I got word that they submitted into like a, they had like a competition and they actually, the courthouse actually won with, from the design to the architects and everything, so.
Like,
Taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
right, yeah. Any other questions for Brian? No, thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Ray with engineering.
Everyone? I'll start off with the Twin Bridges project. So that's an ongoing project. Originally, we had anticipated the contractor was going to be completed by October 18th. Again, they need to do work within the stream itself. It has a DEC permit. And unfortunately, we came upon some unforeseen conditions as far as the subsoils. A lot of organics that had to be removed. And now we need to put new material in. So I have a resolution that is not on my agenda. Literally working with the contractor in the past
24 hours.
24 hours
All right.
trying to get that resolved. But long and short of it is that we had to remove some material, quite a bit of material, more than anticipated, more than was recorded by DOT. And there's a large hollow that has to be filled in. So we're actually utilizing stone fill, and we've been working with DEC, Department of Environmental Conservation, to restore that area, and they require that we bring in bank run material to restore the stream because the fish and the environment don't like the stone. They don't like to see the stone, so we need to restore the stream.
Gravel wash away.
Yeah.
No, because it's gonna chink in with the limestone fill.
Oh, okay,
That's
gotcha.
why we have that limestone
Oh,
fill
okay.
underneath. So again, what'll happen is all that material will sink into that.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the
Come
intent.
back.
So that being said, keep in mind, this was an emergency project. We did get a red flag on this. We are limited. We originally had to be out of the stream by the end of September. We've been working with DEC. They provided us one extension to the 18th. We just went back regarding all of this additional work and the stream restoration. They've allowed us to push this back to October 25th as far as an extension. So they've been working with us. They did approve the proposed changes and on how we wanted to fill this area. And I did receive initial numbers from Baker Brothers for the material and for the manpower to get it done. Initial costs are $35,500. I am continuing to work with them. I just checked my email to see whether I got revised numbers. We have a bit of discrepancy as far as the volume. I think that the volume should be a little bit less. I do believe that I can bring that down to roughly a $30,000 item, but I don't want to commit to that. I'd rather do this as a not to exceed number of $35,500 and be able to move forward. I did check with county attorney regarding this item, whether we could move forward with it in this fashion. Again, since it was an emergency, that is fine for us to do that. It is identified in the resolution as an emergency and was originally identified as an emergency. I checked with the comptroller as well as the chairman, and have gained support from them to be able to move forward, provided I at least present it to the board, the committee for approval.
I'll make that motion.
Because I can, you gotta do it anyway.
We do have to do it. Yeah, and they're already in the stream. So
They're in the stream with a permit right now.
And they're waiting.
It'll cost a whole lot more to do it.
No, not the material. I needed to get this approval before I could. That's gonna be my 6:30 call for the contractor to
I
tell
was
us
just
to
gonna
mobilize
say, is he
tomorrow.
sitting in the trench waiting?
Somewhat, yeah.
Tomorrow we'll be out there mobilizing. Yeah. So thank you for that.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor on that one? Oh, we're on it.
Valley View Bridge, so the new concrete deck was poured on October 10th. That went very smoothly. All went well there. So we're waiting for that deck to cure, and then they're working on the approaches. So they'll be doing approach slabs and then ultimately paving. Again, that project right now remains on target to be opened prior to Thanksgiving. Stall Bridge, there was a pre-pour meeting that took place on Monday. We had a meeting with the contractor, their concrete supplier, also the inspector on the project. So it's anticipated that they'll be pouring that this upcoming Friday. That'll be done in one day. Again, once that is set, then they'll start doing bridge approaches on that and then ultimately paving. And again, similarly, if all goes well and weather stays with us, that one will also be open before Thanksgiving as well. So that one remains on schedule. But they were able to move on that steel deck and rebar. They were able to move on that fairly quickly, which was nice. Once we got the bearing pads in place, that was the whole thing. Stuyvesant Falls Bridge. So I received comments from the Stuyvesant Historic Bridge Committee that wanted us to look at a few potential additional alternatives to be considered. And that's the information that you have in front of you. What I did was I created they had requested a narrative. Rather than doing a narrative, I thought it was more beneficial. I'm a very visual person, so it was beneficial for me. Hopefully it's beneficial for others to create more of a matrix to look at the various options of what might be available and what the impacts are. But not only looking at the impacts as it pertains to SHPO, right away, project schedule as a whole, but then also taking a look at what the initial capital costs are, but then also projecting what the total life cycle cost is. So the life cycle costs are the total cost, including the capital and future maintenance. And what we did is we looked at a 50-year time frame for doing that. Okay. So very briefly, and actually, this is a document that has been provided just yesterday, just today, in preparation for a meeting that was originally going to take place tomorrow with the committee. But in light of the fact that it had taken me quite a bit of time to get this together with the consultant and compile all this information, primarily the cost estimates, it took me longer than I had anticipated. So we pushed that meeting back. The count has pushed that meeting back a week as far as that's concerned. But this document ultimately will be part of the package that gets sent to Department of Transportation as far as the design package. Again, that way it also shows that we're looking at options as well. So the first one, very briefly, is a null or nothing option. If we do nothing, as far as that is concerned, that's something that we have to do as far as the DOT is concerned. Second one is rehabilitating the existing structure. This was looked at back in 2014 as well. And when you're looking at that second option, it's rehabilitating the existing structure. However, even in 2014, and the current consultant also agrees, even if we were to rehabilitate that existing structure, the anticipated lifespan would only be an additional 25 years. And after 25 years, we would have to replace it. And quite honestly, that's in general what we found with this major renovation that took place back in the 90s, is that, yeah, it has worked and it's provided an
20 years,
extended, and we got an extended lifespan out of it, but we're back to where we were as far as dealing with a long-term solution. And that's one of the goals that we've identified as a long-term solution. So again, you can see what the initial capital cost is, which is fairly low, but when you start looking at the life cycle costs over the 50 years, it's quite extensive, because that life cycle cost takes into consideration the renovation, the maintenance that's required for the next 25 years, the installation of a brand new bridge, and then 25 years of maintenance on that bridge. Okay?
Does your column load posting required? Does N mean none?
No, that is correct. Yep. That is correct. Yeah, so at the end of the day, any new structure would not have any type of load posting on it. And when you look at the project objectives, there were a total of 8 project objectives that we had regarding the structure as a whole, and those were outlined in, if you remember, either last month or the month before, I provided a copy to the committee of the presentation materials.
Right.
If you could look back into that, that has a listing of those 8 goals. Okay. Number 3, complete replacement of the existing alignment with a truss superstructure and new abutments. Number 4 is the item that was presented, or the option that was presented to the public as the preferred option at the time, which is a multi-steel girder bridge. And then looking at options, whether we go with this traditional steel bridge rail or whether we do something enhanced as far as some sort of a stone barrier as well. And again, you've got the cost there, 10 million and then 43 million, or 10.5 and then 43.9. Number 5, a complete replacement of the existing structure with a multi-steel girder bridge, and then trying to utilize portions of the existing truss that would be dismantled, if possible, refurbished, sandblasted, and then placed back onto the new structure. But that takes quite a bit of modification to that, because right now it's a single lane. It's roughly 18 feet plus or minus in width. With the new bridge, it's going to be out towards 40. So again, everything in the middle that was tying those 2 trusses together, all of that would need to be extended accordingly. So there's quite a bit of work that's associated with that. But that was a consideration or a request that they've had as far as that committee. So looking at that initial cost would be roughly 14.9 million for initial capital cost, with a total life cycle cost of 54.8 million, excuse me. So roughly speaking, 11 million more than the preferred option when you're looking at the life cycle cost. Number 6 was a bit of a hybrid, if you would. Basically, it's to build a new truss girder, and similar to what we had considered with the stall bridge, is to just create a truss that is non-structural. This is a new truss that would be attached to each side. So therefore, it would look like a truss bridge, but structurally it wouldn't be acting as a truss bridge. And so again, capital cost there is 12.2 initial cost, 14.5 as far as the life cycle costs. And we've limited that to only a 10-foot high truss. We start getting into larger trusses, taller trusses. Now you need to start, again, attaching those 2 sides together, which again starts adding cost. So again, part of that is what that visually may look like and whether the public would be happy with what that looks like.
Question. You said that refurbishing some of the trusses. Could they be as good as new when they refurbish them, or they're?
Yeah, so
it
there's,
doesn't seem like it would be to me.
no, so when we're looking at, and again, when we're looking at the rehabilitation of the existing structure, anytime we're going to reuse any of that existing structure, it's going to be problematic for multiple reasons. Number one, anytime we recode anything, okay, whether it's steel or any other application, it's all about how it is prepped. Okay, it's in the preparation, because if you don't do a good preparation, you don't sandblast it all the way down to what's known as white metal, whether it's recoated with an epoxy paint, which is the traditional method. There is a newer method that is called metallizing. So you actually coat the surface with a galvanized material. That's actually what we did down at Pleasantdale Road. Okay, but that's all done in the shop, right? It's an alternative to traditional hot dip galvanized. So many of us may be familiar with hot dip galvanized metals. Basically, they're taking the metal and physically dumping it into a vat.
Right.
But the limit is roughly a 70-foot span as far as the piece of steel. Okay, you go beyond that, you either dismantle the entire item or you prep it and then go ahead and coat it with this metallization. With any type of truss, there are a lot of nooks and crannies, areas that you can't get to. Metallization, generally speaking, is preferable on large open web steel. It's easy to gain access to. There's no nooks and crannies where, again, you can't get the steel clean completely. And if you don't get that steel completely clean, then you're never going to get the adhesion, regardless of what coating you're going to put on it. It's just not going to stick. So you're not going to get the longevity that you're hoping for. The other concern is that when we're reutilizing this, if we're going to reutilize this truss, okay, or sections of the truss, you're going to sandblast this material. Quite honestly, I'm not sure how many of those components are going to be left intact because you're taking away pieces of the steel. So there are going to be portions of it that are going to have to be replaced.
Right.
With new metal, with new steel.
How old the bridge?
But we're looking at $10 million.
125 years.
Consideration.
Yeah, correct.
That's gonna rust out of
Metal, gotta be.
Correct.
Do you remember what they did with the Boston Garden?
Yeah.
They gave everyone a little piece
Yeah.
of the parquet.
Yeah.
Or-
Well, so to that end,
I heard that our bridge inspectors took a piece home the other day
Yeah.
for a souvenir.
yeah, he did take a piece of it. To that end, we've identified in option number 4, even if we didn't save the bridge intact, that we could use portions of it to donate to the town, so that way they can have it for something in the future, whether it's a portway into their park. There's quite a bit of railing that could be utilized. There's a pocket park on the northerly side that leads to the rail trail. It could be used for that. And then you could use educational displays that provide a little bit of history. And so we would look to see if we could reuse that and repurpose it for other purposes, even if we didn't keep it intact. Keeping it intact, one of the columns that we added that I didn't originally have was this construction on complexity and risk level. Okay. Anyone in the construction industry understands the higher the complexity and risk level is, the higher the cost. And the higher any contractor bidding on the project. Again, if we're looking to take apart this truss, there's a question of whether it's going to stay intact when it gets taken apart. And so there's a cost associated with that, right? Because a contractor is going to want to cover themselves. So
all that steel is probably pretty brittle by now.
There's a lot of it that has to be replaced. There's no question. I mean, again, in those costs are associated and counted for in the rehabilitation. The last one, the last option that was identified. Oh, so I'm sorry. So number 6 was also one that was requested specifically by the committee. The last one, number 7, is one that I had brought to the committee, which would be a new off-alignment bridge from the existing bridge and the old existing bridge, the single lane bridge, to be retained by the town. So the town, there's many members within the town that have identified that they would like to save that bridge and utilize it for some other purpose. And so I had approached the committee and said, much like I believe I had that discussion regarding Spangler Bridge, was if the town is that interested in saving the bridge, then the county would potentially turn that bridge over to the town The town is then responsible for the ownership and any future maintenance, and then we would just build a new 2-lane bridge next to it. The committee at our first meeting, members, I'm not going to say unanimously, but overall didn't feel that that was economical for the town.
Recognize, thank you. I started factoring in what it would cost for the town to just maintain a paint job on that every 20 years in our budget. It's big
I say the
numbers.
same thing about spending.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
right.
exactly.
Thank you, but no thank you.
Right, so again, I'm providing this for information for the committee. I was submitting it to the township. I thought it's important, obviously, for the committee to see this as well. And again, when you're looking at it, please, it talks about, the proposed road width, the maintenance associated with it, any potential right-of-way impacts, because again, that has impact. The span of the bridge, SHPO considerations, because again, we've been involved in what's known as the 106 process. We still have to continue with what's known as the 4F process, which means we need to evaluate various options and what impact that has on the structure, and ultimately coming to an agreement with SHPO and Federal Highway Association of what's to be considered acceptable. And SHPO and Federal Highway Administration are a big component of that. Okay. But that process has started. That was all part of.
Ray, a comment on right-of-way acquisitions. I saw this when I read it this morning too, is that maybe under your notes, you should tell us what a PE and a PE is.
Oh,
We're
I'm
not
sorry,
gonna
sure.
assume that's a temporary easement or a permanent easement, but
And that's exactly correct. Yeah, so we have
some
temporary.
people wouldn't know that.
Yeah, no, very good point. Yeah, so TEs are temporary easements, so that's used during construction. PEs are permanent, easements. So again, the town, it's still owned by the property owner, but the municipality, in this case, the county, has a permanent easement over it. And in other cases, it's actually what's known as a fee taking. Okay, so again, if we move the whole bridge over, that would be a fee taking. That's what we did, in many instances over on, Fishing Game Road.
Right.
And refresh my memory, what's the county's responsibility in this expense? Were we getting Bridge New York money for this or anything else? or-
So we are on the state STIP, so it's the State Transportation Improvement Program. That's where we're getting our funding for this project. Excuse me. Right now, that's identified as 4.4 million. Okay, that's what's on the current STIP. We, as the county, are responsible for paying for all costs above and beyond whatever is allocated by the state. That being said, in light of the fact that we have finished a few projects within the county that were on the STIP, such as Fishing Game Road, that was a long-standing one. If I remember, Ferry Street Bridge,
yeah.
with
It's
the
about
city of
wrapping
Hudson,
up.
that's about to wrap up. So that's going to potentially open up some additional funding. So recognizing even with the multi-girder, that we have a huge exposure here at the county level as far as the overall cost. I do anticipate going back to the state and requesting additional funding. That additional funding, however, may impact scheduling. So the only other project currently on the STIP, now this is a different pool of money from Bridge New York. Bridge New York is completely
Federal
separate.
money, really. Isn't it?
This is federal money, yeah, completely federal money. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say completely.
Yeah.
Majority of it's federal money with some state funding available as well. But as part of the STIP, the only other county project that we have now on that STIP is Copake. And Copake is wrapped up in its own 106 4F process, which we just received the final draft of the memorandum of understanding or agreement, excuse me,
To move
between
the
multiple
blackout.
parties, which has taken us well over a year to get. But I may need to look at prioritizing those two projects, Stuyvesant Falls Bridge and Copake,
Right.
and shifting one in front of the other. And obviously with the condition of Stuyvesant Falls Bridge in its current condition, that may be problematic.
So we could be receiving potentially how much do you support?
Additional, ultimately, I would go for the entire amount. It depends on how I can jockey the schedule. And that's what I'd be striving for.
That would also be the reason we want to stay away from federal highway approvals, because that's been taking 1 year to 2 years to get.
Agreed.
So all the, go ahead. No, this is a great conversation piece. There's a lot of detail, a lot of information. But what it comes down to, I mean, obviously there's some options on here that just, to me, just make no sense whatsoever. We'll spend $5, $6, $8, $10 million more to replace a bridge plus have an increased maintenance, exposure for something that we're barely gonna be able to come up with the money for to start with. So to me, option 4 was what we presented. I think that's obviously not the obvious choice.
I don't disagree. Again, that, to me, that continues to be my preferred option. However, again, in respect and providing respect to the town committee.
Yeah. People wanted to know what the numbers are. They said, we can't make a decision unless we know the numbers. So
They want
Ray
to
has
see what
provided.
options are available. And quite honestly, one of my requests to the committee was, I've provided, from the county standpoint, what the preferred structure to be, which would be a multi-girder structure. And again, willing to do architectural features to it. And the committee indicated that, they wanted to know what other options there are. And I said, well, then provide me what you think you would like to see, and we will look at, costing it out and doing a comparison.
And we need this information for the DOT submission
Absolutely.
anyway, and SHPO and all of those agencies that we have to deal with. So this
So we're
is,
not going any further, spending a whole lot of money on these other options that are nobody far-fetched.
If you could get your cake and eat it too for $200,000 more, it'd be fine. But
One thing.
you look at a lifespan of $10 million.
Right. It's getting the information so if people can make an informed decision. Obviously, the board of supervisors and the committee making an informed decision,
Right.
much like the committee to make an informed decision. Hopefully come into a consensus that we can all meet.
But I gotta say, Ray, we still gotta go by your expertise, and the other people say what's gonna be the safest way to do this. You get to the point where you're gonna refurbish something and put it back up there. To me, I think it's money down the road. Yeah, it might be 25 years down the road, but I think if you're gonna do something, do it the right way the first time.
I don't
If you
disagree.
can, if you can afford it.
No, I don't disagree. I mean, one of my concerns is utilizing any portion of that bridge. Again, just because like I mentioned, it's the prep. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to dismantle that bridge or a portion of the bridge and try to reutilize it on a new structure. Okay. It's the complexity of doing that. It's the work that's required to, again, prep that work, refurbish it and recode it and do all those things so it could be considered, I'm going to call it like new, at least on appearance.
Mhm.
But the reality is that's a very difficult thing to accomplish in the real world, especially based on the size of that and the span of that
That
structure.
span is incredible.
And it's getting into all of those small
Right,
areas, so
right.
you can, if anybody's ever done any type of painting and prep, it's all in the prep work. And if you don't sandblast that completely clean,
Right.
you're not gonna get the adhesion, so no matter what type of coating you put onto it, it's gonna fail prematurely. Again, because keep in mind, we have the salt conditions and everything else. That's why when you look at the Rip Van Winkle Bridge or some other bridge, go down towards the city, they start on one end of the bridge, they paint that entire bridge, and it takes them a year or 2 years, and then when they're done, they start at the beginning again, and they
Start over
continue.
again.
Right.
But even like the new faux trusses are, it's just an extravagance that I don't think we should deal with.
Yeah, I don't think, at the end of the day, this is my opinion only, from an appearance standpoint, I don't think people are gonna be satisfied with the appearance of that type of a structure. It's because we're not doing it to mimic the old structure. It's to pay homage to the old and recognize the fact that there was history there.
And then you'll cross the view to the falls.
right. I mean, that's what's attractive about that area is it's a beautiful spot. No matter what bridge you're on, it's a beautiful
Even those
spot.
buildings
So
right there.
people like that. But when we talk about recreating something, my challenge with the thought of that is, and for years I've thought maybe we do a new iron truss bridge to try and mimic that. But in 1899, this bridge was originally constructed. And then in 1992, we added the arches that are more prominent to it today. So which bridge are we trying to recreate? If we were to do ornamental iron, do you do the arch, which is more prominent to the looks of it today? Or do you just do the original steel structure that was 1899, which is the original? And that's when it was put on the National Register, was with the original structure before the modifications of 92, 94, But yeah, I mean, the point is the community needs to have a good, safe bridge to cross the creek there. It's very important to keep the traffic flowing right there. There's been a bridge there for hundreds of years. I mean, we know there was a wooden bridge there in 1860 something or other. I don't know when that was constructed, but that had a center pier to it back in that day. But still, think of a wooden structure. But the community has been without this bridge before. We need a bridge. It's-
Low risk, low price, low maintenance.
Those are many of the same goals that, again, that we identified as far as that presentation, yes.
But I want to build something that's attractive to the area too. So, yeah. I
Right,
don't
so
wanna
again,
spend
so
an
if it's
extra
adding,
5 million,
so if it's adding parapets, stone parapets or something to that effect, and again, that's an idea, but again, that's what I'm hoping to get from the committee. That's sort of.
What would you like to see?
Because again, because if we're able to go ahead and add a few $100,000 versus millions of dollars, and it's attractive.
Yes, Brenda, yeah.
One question for Ray. The number for Proposition 4, does that include the removal and disposal of the existing bridge?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually the Federal Highway Administration and SHPO, because of the fact that it is a historic, it's part of a historic structure, okay? One of the things that we have to actually consider is, allowing others to potentially acquire the bridge as well, beyond just the. So my apologies, I know that was long-winded.
I'm sorry. We want to go through the resolutions because Kathy needs to leave, so
Oh,
let's get those done. While we have a forum, If we want to chat more, we can.
So resolution number one, number one has to do with a new roof, standing seam metal roof on the admin building at the transfer station. So the existing transfer station building, that we recently put up for our admin folks has an EPDM roof. The birds, believe it or not, have completely torn that apart. They've been attracted to it for some reason.
They're vultures, just go right on.
And they have taken literally pieces of it. They've peeled it back.
They tore that woman's house apart over in Greenport and ripped the windshield wiper blades off all those people's cars. They just go after that.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable, the damage that those turkey people.
Yeah, so we
Mr. McDonald, get your buckshot.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing. The highway roof is not that far away. We haven't had issues there, knock on wood. But, so we actually looked at deterrence. We were looking at putting deterrence onto the roof, but the reality is I think it's just gonna continue. So the only way of really dealing with this is putting a standing seam metal roof, and that would be impenetrable for
Move it. There's a motion, second, all in favor?
Next resolution is for the purchase of a large format printer, copier, scanner that was budgeted for in 2024 engineering budget for.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
So when I was in planning today, we had a document, we were trying to print an oversized piece of paper. They said, the only person that knows how to work the machine is Ray.
Oh, nice.
It's a printer one.
Next one is the 911 center. So, we were able to open up the bids for the new 911 call center. So this is the addition. Keep in mind, we had bid this out previously back in May. At the time, we had received 6 bids on 4 contracts that totaled over $3.6 million. So again, we rejected all of those bids, went back to the drawing board a bit, did a little value engineering, but then also reached out to contractors and put it out to rebid. So this recent opening, we received a total of 24 bids on 4 contracts. The combination of, or the total of all 4 contracts, total an estimate of 2.66 million. So roughly $1 million lower than when originally was built. Still higher than we would have liked or what we had budgeted onto it, but I had spoken with Jim Bragg on it. The bidding, as far as when you look at the span between high bidder and low bidder and the group in between, it's a very tight bidding. So everyone was looking at and interpreting the drawings the same. It was very good.
You got the bids right there, Kevin.
2.1.
Scroll ahead.
We were
Your bids.
1.6 plus additional costs. I think in all, we were at 1.8.
But we did have good bidding from all of the different contracts, really. I thought it was pretty good. Like Ray said, it was close. And I think all the numbers are high, but on the other hand, if you look at 5 bids for plumbing and they're all within the range, that's the plumbing. Yeah, you know,
I'll
that's.
move it.
Thank you.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second, all in favor.
So what are we doing for the additional funding? We didn't anticipate that high.
We're gonna bond
We're
it.
bonding.
We always figured to bond
Yeah,
something.
so in speaking with Jim Gregg and speaking with PJ, we are doing the bonding associated with 11 Warren, so we'll be doing that as part of it, as far as that. Did we move on that last resolution? So
Yeah.
for 35?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
was the
didn't
first
sign
one
that
you
one. Yeah, and I signed the other one, then the space.
So that was it for resolution. So you,
So the quicker we get that 911 center, out, the quicker we get out of our secondary one.
yeah, that's 6.
610.
So going back to the agenda, and again, my apologies, but I'll go through this quickly. County Route 7, Gallatin, that project currently is out to bid. Bids are expected October 24th. So I would request that we have a special meeting before the full board meeting in November to award those bids. Reason for doing that is to be able to get the contractor engaged, allow them to do their procurement over the winter months as far as precast and other products, so they can hit the ground running in the spring. Okay. DSS, the new chiller unit's been set, power switch over took place October 14th. New chiller is scheduled to be completed and operational by Friday. Mentioned the 911 bids, 11 Warren. I now have design development drawings for the building interior. They've also sent those out to their estimators, so I anticipate to have new estimates for that. Currently, they identified that we were within budget based on the preliminary estimate. This is that next stage. There's more detail involved with this.
Lock it down.
And so we're able to get an updated cost estimate from their estimator. I also received quotations from RIO, who the county has purchased cubicles and office furniture for, because again, we're trying to keep portions of this as an open floor plan, so that'll be incorporated into that overall budget as well.
And we can buy that now with ARPA money, right?
Yeah, we can buy that with ARPA money, plus I also have money from the state for the Public Defender's Office.
ILS.
Yes, through ILS, so we would hope to pre-purchase some of those through that process.
Great.
EV chargers, the EV chargers here at 401 are now up and running. Had an additional site visit with the vendor National Grid at 11 Warren, October 10th. That went well. I just received yesterday approval from National Grid for 11 Warren, as well as the courthouse. So I need to take a look at those a little closer. If all is in order, I can get the the chairman to sign those, and they indicated that they could get started on those within the next 2 weeks.
Great.
Joint meeting was held with the FAA to review our capital improvement program for 2025. So again, that's looking at a 5-year window. Primarily, they focus on the upcoming projects for 2025 regarding the potential for funding, which they've identified. We've got favorable feedback from them as far as the potential funding. So those projects are the new AWAS system for weather system. One of the things that they want to do, the FAA would like to see us be able to transmit that data to the main FAA and weather source as far as NOAA. So that way everyone has access to it. Pilots have access to it. And I think that actually benefits the airport, because right now we don't do that. So no one knows what the weather is unless at the airport, unless they specifically contact the airport website. It's not gone widespread. So potentially that's problematic, because the closest weather that is provided for the airport otherwise is in Pittsfield, which is a completely different weather pattern. In addition to that, snow removal equipment, and also a storage building for that snow removal equipment. We also have a meeting set up with the airport subcommittee for October 23rd, and that's to begin the updated master plan, which needs to be done. One of the things we'll be doing is doing what's known as a SWOT analysis. So that's to look at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for the airport. So that's one of the exercises that we'll be doing. Prior to that meeting, within the next few days, I'll get an agenda over to Kelly, so that way it can be distributed. NYSERDA, NYSERDA finally approved the funding for the courthouse air conditioning system.
Are you voting on anything like that? Because there really isn't an airport sub anymore.
Oh, so no, we won't be
Yeah.
voting. No,
Actually-
it's just a work.
It's a public works.
My
Okay.
apologies.
I just wanted to make sure,
Yeah.
because it would have to be a quorum of the public works committee.
Understood. Yeah,
Okay.
no, so it's just a working meeting. There's no voting.
Perfect, yeah.
Just a working meeting. So actually Brian and I met with the contractor, reviewed the project with him again. He's willing to hold on to his price, even though it's been 7 months. So I'm happy to hear that. And he's starting to work on a schedule as well. So we're gonna, again, because of the courtrooms, we need to do that evening hours or over weekends. So once we get a schedule together as far as that project as a whole, we'll then get together with the court system to see, working it into their schedule. A lot of information.
Yes, one other thing I just want to throw out there, I did speak to Mitch from Centrica. They are finalizing the solid waste solar project. They did get National Grid approval already for that. They're waiting on structural analysis for the buildings to locate them there. They'll probably be here in November to make a presentation on that. That's moving along.
Now you can just click it right on that new little standing seam roof that's going on.
That's right. It's an easier connection.
Yeah.
Ray, can we go back through something I want to bring up? No, I'm only kidding. No, we're good to go. They shoot me. I'm staring at me like, kick me in the head.
And thank you
Well,
for that.
No, thank you for presenting this. I mean, I think it was a very extensive approach to
Yeah.
really lays things out. So thank you for taking the time to develop this.
Kristen, comments from you? Anything from the public?
No, it's very informative. Thanks for all the work.
Thank you.
I'd like to get a copy of that.
You could have a copy of that, yes. He lives in Stuyvesant, and is interested in that
Even the
project.
bridge back to Stuyvesant.
They tried that. That was alternative 7.
That was alternative 7.
They blew that
I
out.
can't give it away. Literally, I can't give it away.
He has a bridge for sale.
Yeah.
Right.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion second, all in favor? Okay, everybody.
Under the wire.
I can bring the county government meeting to order. First up,
He's
real
already
property.
in the chair.
You gonna fill us in on the wedding or what?
Show pictures. Everything went beautiful.
Okay, good. Congratulations.
So the first resolution request, I just have 3 today, and they're all pretty quick, but the first one is to fill the position of tax map technician trainee, which was approved by the .1 committee, effective though, in February of 2025. And what?
The new and improved.
New and improved .1 committee.
Right size.
Yes, I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Oh, Karen?
Thank you. And the next one is to enter into an agreement with the town of Claverick to do a reassessment of the town for 2027. That will allow us time to go out and do the data inventory and all of that. And I sent a copy of the contract so you can see what their payments are over 3 budget years.
Did you send it to us yet? Because I didn't receive it.
No, because the county attorney's office has to review. Well, you.
But we
like this
signed-
one?
We
I
just,
sent it to everybody with this.
no, what I'm saying, we didn't get it. I hadn't seen it yet.
Yes, no, I will.
We
get
were
that.
waiting for that.
Yes, okay, I'll get that, but the county attorney's office will review it after it goes to full board, and then that's,
All right.
yeah. But I'll send you.
I'll move it
I'll
second.
second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Do you have a
Oh,
question?
carried.
Did you just read that?
2021.
21. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we're down to what, 60-some%? Yeah, probably.
I know.
Oh, yeah, she just comes along because we gotta do it all night.
Yeah,
But we're charging them double this time, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
well, it is more than the last time, because we increased our prices after we gave them the last.
What?
In 2019, we increased the prices.
Let's keep it
And the
down.
last request is just an annual one. It has to do with correction of errors, correcting bills and refunds
Move it.
if it's less than
All in
2,500.
favor? Oh, carried.
Thank you.
Wow, that was record.
No,
See, I'm telling
come on, sit down, talk
This
with
is what happens.
me. Give what they want, they correct.
This is what happens when they go first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put her first next time.
You're up, sir.
All right, just here to renew our shared services contract for 2025.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, Terry. Jeez.
Thank you.
Somebody's gotta change this up here.
Elections this year. It'll take a while.
Oh, here they are.
Dynamic duo.
Yeah, this is like records.
They even dress like.
Yeah, it's not close. It's required.
You have the board, lady.
So we have 4 resolutions, all 4 to accept grants. The first one, the Center for Tech and Civic Life, is not one that is going through New York State Board of Elections. We received a grant from them back in 2020. This is similar. It is not a reimbursement grant. It is, as soon as the chairman signs it, they will do a transfer into our account of $50,000. We were eligible for up to $50,000 and we got the whole amount. This has to be spent. We're trying, Mara and I are trying really hard to spend it.
Good job, lady.
It has to be spent, and we have to provide them with a spreadsheet by, December 31st. So,
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
the next 3 are the ones that State BOE, has awarded us this year. There's a ballot by mail grant, and then the electronic poll book grant, because all of our iPads that were purchased in 2019 when early voting started will no longer be usable. So we need to, as you know, with all iPads,
Technology changes quickly.
every 5 years, so we're gonna have to replace our entire fleet. So that's what we'll use that for. And then the general election grant is for unbudgeted expenses.
Like security.
Like
Security was on the first one.
security is also on the first one. There is a little overlap between the civic life one and this one. But
It's all good. Yeah.
it is a really good opportunity for us to upgrade some equipment and even ballot bags that we've been needing. We've been getting zippers repaired. It's
Folding machine.
yeah, we need a new folding machine. The one we bought in 2020 wasn't commercial quality, and it's starting to complain. How many absentees have we sent out?
About 4,500.
Yeah. So we're
Double from last year, so, and we're still going.
yeah, we just received 57 applications this afternoon. So
Wow.
So I take a motion for all 3.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Carried.
thanks.
Thank you.
Do you guys solicit these grants or they just,
We did the first one.
it's the first one?
The first
The rest of
But
it
the
comes
other one, the
automatically?
state, allocates, by, whatever percentages through the entire state. So it's usually our portion of a
I
grant that's
see.
for every
Okay.
BOE in the state.
Very good.
Thank you.
You two know anything about even year voting that we don't know about, or, is that
We're
going to be
assuming there's going to
challenged?
be an appeal.
Is that gonna happen in time for
No.
our cycle next year, or
We're trying to
We
get
wish
past
we
that.
people that are gonna
We
start
wish-
to, think about running in
Mara,
February or so?
Mara
you know?
has a crystal ball, but it hasn't been cooperating.
Okay.
We don't
We don't know. Yeah, I didn't know if you do anything.
We haven't heard any kind of chatter or anything. All I heard was, what the decision was. And
Yeah.
then I heard people, right away saying, well, they're gonna appeal and they're gonna go for a stay and everything's just gonna be standstill.
But the decision was to overturn the law, correct?
Right. The news, so right now, as far as I understand it, they're not gonna do, change to, I said, but,
It was unconstitutional.
right.
Mhm.
So they have to come back with a new law, basically.
Well, they can
have
find
to-
another
have to
judge.
amend the
to-
Constitution.
Right.
And it won't change any of the filings for the positions or, that will just go about our regular schedule.
For 2025.
Yes.
Okay.
But as people file in the spring next year to
I
run
mean, it
in the
would be good
fall,
to know if
they'll
they're
have to
running
know
for
it
what
for
like term, but it's.
a 1
still
year
gonna
or
be
3
good.
year, or, you know. Right, yeah.
But the way that things have come down from the state, it's usually like the day before.
Yeah, right.
Thank
No,
you.
just checking.
It
Yeah.
seems to me if they overturn the law and it's business as usual, then the terms would stay the same until the
Correct.
final
That's
decision.
how we see it right now, but, you know.
You just want to get through this election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's, yeah.
November 6th.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now. So,
Right now.
Being this year, did you get enough poll watchers and everybody to do
Poll
what you
workers?
needed to do? Yeah, poll.
Right now, I haven't spoken to Jody. The Democrats always have enough.
They're falling out of the trees.
They just, they offer to work for free. Mara is, I mean, she has
Doesn't
a
mean you
wealth.
can train them.
We haven't, last I heard, we have enough. She had just a couple spots that she was gonna fill. We wait until we get closer to fill all the early voting spots because it's a good opportunity if we have to get someone in for a last minute training. Or if someone hasn't worked for a while and they need a refresher. But as far as the poll sites, we can open all of our poll sites.
And we're staffing up for
Yes.
this, so short means, 6 rather than 8. And like here at certain sites like St. Mary's, and we're fine.
So were you able to get the additional security? We asked the sheriff this question yesterday and he was.
They won't guarantee it.
Right.
They're gonna do their best to fulfill our requirements. But they keep, and I asked if they, solicit those spots now, would it help? And they said, nope, like, they can't guarantee anything. And I can tell you, I don't know what we're gonna do if we're here on the first Saturday of early voting without a deputy.
Have we reached out to the Chatham or Hudson or other police departments to see if they have people that are interested?
Yeah, I mean, Philmont's got quite a staff on their, on their police department.
Gonna stop down and see us tomorrow.
Okay.
So who's in charge of it? The sheriff?
The sheriff, as far as because the building, the county has a contract with sheriff for deputy for security for this building.
We are anticipating, a big rush the first day and all during early voting. So Mara and I have decided that we're gonna go back to the 2 check-ins, 2 machines and 2 on-demand printers here. So we can process, voters quickly.
How about Alicia?
They'll have 1. They receive, quite a bit less, foot traffic than we do, and we do not have room up there for 2.
If the sheriff can't cover Alicia, we should come to the state police to see if they can at least have a,
Sheriff said they would have an extra patrol,
okay.
that they were planning on putting an extra patrol on around up there.
They also said that there's a parking space around the other side of the building. So if someone needed to stay close, they could park without it looking like there's, police officer right
Those
there.
guys upstairs there, so. On site.
So we kind of have to play it by ear a little bit to see. I mean, I was very happy to read on the news that Georgia's got record turnout, no drama, just lots of voting. So if we get that.
And everybody did early voting, maybe, mail-in ballots rather,
Or just, before election day, so there's less traffic on election day.
I know, so they ought to be around.
They can at least park the car there.
Right.
So when I came in the side door this afternoon, there were 6 people sitting on the steps outside the office. Should we put a couple of chairs in the hall just in case, or is that not safe to put movable objects in the hall?
They have a table out there with some chairs.
I didn't see any chairs, I did see a table.
I saw somebody sitting there.
But you couldn't get up the staircase, there were 6 people, waiting to go into, for one reason or
That
another.
won't happen at our new building.
A very
Just a
small
thought.
frontage in your office.
Yeah, we'll go for, with no one for half an hour and then suddenly there are 10 people. I'm convinced there's some kind of a weird magnetic force that pulls everyone in.
It's amazing how many people.
And then and then they want to vote then in there. So that takes, 10 or 15 minutes to prepare their ballot. So they're hanging out.
But we will make sure that there are chairs out at that table because people utilize that to vote.
Thank
And I
Oh, maybe that's further down the hall. I was thinking
Yeah.
immediately outside your door.
Yeah, no, we don't have a lot of room right there, with the stairs.
Can't block the.
Yeah,
But
but-
blocking the stairs is.
but up a little ways, right outside of chambers, there should be a table there with chairs.
Yes,
remember
it's
that.
covered with, toilet paper right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
That's where they go.
I saw people voting there today. I went outside to get some fresh air.
We'll ask Brian to keep that table clear.
Yeah, at least the one on our side would be good.
But everything else, I mean, we're swamped, but, it's going
We're
smoothly.
gonna set up bunk beds.
Yeah, but, what the problem is that in just the past couple of years, they've changed how fast we have to turn these around. Omar and I can't leave until we have certain things finished for the day. Jody and Natalie can't leave until they have certain things finished for the day. So we have 24 hours to receive applications and get those ballots in the mail. So it makes it challenging. And so, I mean, I'm sure you'll see that,
We're working.
yeah.
Spend some of this extra money on overtime. then.
We're trying, you know, and we've been keeping our work queue, cleaned up, so it's all working out.
Knock on wood. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, lady.
Thank you.
Okay. Human resources.
One.
Hello.
So this actually was sent to you guys in error. We don't need to do anything with this. I mean, we can if you want to, but there's not going to be any numbers in it. Traditionally, this goes to the board in November. But we don't usually have numbers to drop in here until we have our health insurance committee meeting. And that makes recommendations to the finance committee, which then goes before the board. So I apologize that I included that in too. Recent New York State revisions to the New York State lactation accommodation policy. So we'll be revising our policy as well. Traditionally, what had happened was individuals who needed to express milk during work hours, for breastfeeding purposes, has now included that employers are required to pay individuals, regardless of the size of your business, type of business, whatever it is. You are going to pay for individuals for up to 30 minutes for each time that they have to express milk.
Okay, I'll move it.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Carried.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So once we passed, as that's a state policy and required during the Indian policy, we'll send it to all the towns, so you guys have a copy of that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And guess we have, veterans.
Hello, everyone. Oh, great. For number one, I would like to, I know I previously submitted a .1 for a driver, a per diem driver. I know I have to redo it. I think I did it before the freeze came about. And then, we've got two currently, one's limited on the hours he can work. So that just leaves us with the one driver. A new driver per diem would benefit us, so the veterans aren't missing out on their appointments at the VA.
Can we do this if it hasn't been through .1?
No, she has.
No, I gotta put it through, I gotta do the process,
So you're
but
just letting us know that it's
Yeah.
gonna be going through .1?
Yes.
Okay.
Is this for the 2005 budget?
I'm unsure. I have to figure that out.
Because if it's for 2005, you just have to, it has to be part of the budget process and not part of it.
Right, 2025.
25, that's.
She doesn't have to come to .1 then. If you're starting them in January, it's part of your budget. You don't
Okay.
have to come.
Okay,
And I
If they
think Jim
included it
included it already.
I'm pretty sure he said he did.
okay,
Yep, so you don't have to go through the process if it's in the 2025 budget.
okay.
You just can't
That's-
start till
Right.
2025.
We have someone that maybe would work out, so,
Oh, perfect.
January may work. Perfect for that. All right. Number two, I've been working with Cassie regarding finances. It's harder times for us at the Veterans Agency because we don't have as many donations coming in now. Last year we had a higher amount from when Marietta and Gary got married. They asked for donations to Dwyer. And I have the resolution request form that will be submitted next month so we can continue to pay our bills. Our caseload has increased from this time last year to about 38%. Nellie and I are really a lot busier. With new veterans coming in and old ones coming back into the office, our caseload has increased. A lot of veterans are coming in regarding the PACT Act and Agent Orange exposures because a lot are they're suffering from it or starting to suffer from it. We've been experiencing homeless veterans. We actually had a phone call about a homeless veteran, which is the second veteran that we know about in the county, that we're working with DSS to get this veteran clothes, food, and other supplies from the pantry. Dwyer Day Room has been a lot busier. We have veterans coming in, meeting up and hanging out. We're also having more events to get the room utilized more. We've got new clients in the food pantry that are veterans as well. We have more volunteers and more people inquiring about volunteering in the food pantry, which is always busy.
How are you doing for food?
We are doing good on food as I know. Patsy would be the one to check with. I can make a note and check with her. With the holidays coming up, I know they're going to we do the holiday baskets. So they might be asking for more specific donations.
We can, just to let you know, Clover, our food pantry has dropped way off.
Yeah.
We don't know why, but we got a lot of food sitting there and they're just not getting the customers in. So whatever you need, just let us know.
Okay. Thank you. We have a veteran who moved up here from down south. She's MST veteran. She was still living down south and she's now moved up to the area and is established at our office. We've filed a claim for her and helping her with other needs that she needs. Getting her established at the VA and additional help that's needed. And she's very grateful for our help and support. And we are just waiting to hear back about the budget. We have already cut costs. Every year we have given some veterans in need a holiday meal, which we're hoping we can continue to do. And that is all I have.
When you say you're waiting to hear about the budget,
I have to schedule with Jim to have an appointment.
okay.
Are there any homeless veterans that we can't accommodate or haven't accommodated?
I'm not sure. There's the one that we just got a phone call from regarding on Friday, was the DSS. It's the Adult Protective Services at DSS. He's a Columbia County resident, but he's marked homeless in Rensselaer County.
Okay.
So we're trying to work with him. We have a few resources that we're gonna check on, see if we can help him.
We just doubled the number of rooms at the Berkshire Travel Lodge, so there is some capacity, but we also had the highest numbers last month at 160.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Still
Bob is
warm
really on a delicate,
That's still warm weather.
yeah.
I don't remember ever being that high.
Well, that's why we've been watching that so closely, but we have,
That's for so high.
Maybe a
That's
whole
why I
other
asked that
doctor
question.
should be back in the discussion. Since we don't have one.
Well, I mean, that's part of the,
well,
I understand, but I don't think that's gonna take care of everything.
no, it's not. It's not.
I mean, using motels is consistently a headache.
Unless there's supervision.
and
I still think it's a bad idea.
we're also working on providing supervision at the Travel Lodge for that reason. And a couple of other services as well. But we have, because of the additional rooms, we have a better opportunity to house someone. So hopefully we can house that person if needed.
Shelter tomorrow, right?
DSS will know. Bob will know.
Anybody got anything else?
Resource it is.
That was all.
No, I think that,
Okay,
anybody got any questions?
No?
Okay, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Anybody got anything else on the board? Need a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
We could bring up the occupancy tax.
Oh,
Have a good afternoon.
before, it wasn't on the agenda.
We got so quickly.
Oh, you want me
Can we
to?
adjourn?
Staying for the next meeting?
Kippy,
Could be,
What?
they're not done.
Oh,
can we underadjourn?
what?
Underadjourn, just quickly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are we still recording?
Yes.
Brenda,
Call
you wanna-
the meeting back into session?
I guess. We need a motion.
I'll move it.
Motion to open the meeting. Second, in favor? Aye.
We just had an occupancy, meeting, myself, Jim Bragg and Brenda, to just go over the rollout of this whole process. We've got some work that we need to do, but we just wanted to let the committee know that, we're moving forward. We're gonna be working with Granicus. There's gonna be a letter going out to all of the supervisors and the mayors, just to get, make sure everybody's okay with the letter. We're gonna send out to the different venues, I guess, for lack of a better term.
People that are registered with Airbnb now and stuff like that, right?
Airbnb, short-term rental, whatever platform. So, we are rolling it out. We're getting some information from, NISAC and also possibly from Tax and Finance. Rob Fitzsimmons joined us at the meeting to go over the local law that we're gonna need to pass, which we will have to pass, but we are, we're chugging along. Brenda, do you have anything?
Well, I was just gonna say, the local law that we need to pass will parallel the one that we passed for the authority to create the tax, but now it's the authority to implement the tax, basically. And we're hoping to get that in November, I think, before.
November.
I thought Rob said you guys were gonna make a motion to.
Yeah, what we need to do is to make a motion to move forward with the local law and to, we'll bring it to finance probably in November, but, this way it gives the authority to keep moving.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Opposed?
Okay,
Not just to be able to collect the fee, that.
yeah.
Anything else before we adjourn?
Well, in terms of each town, the local laws, or not local laws, the implementation and your zoning, how you're gonna handle that. If you need some assistance, there are, templates out there. Also, I know that, Chris Brown, has offered, with some templates in terms of.
Yeah, Chris and the committee have developed a pretty extensive template of local law that you could do to regulate short-term rentals in your local municipality. We can share that with them soon, but I didn't want anybody to think that this is a recommendation to adopt this entire thing, because we put everything in there that you could think of, and people may say, I want this, I don't want that, just to give people ideas. A menu, right, yeah. So that should go out shortly. I think we told Chris to send that around. didn't we?
Yep.
You know?
And
I think we
also
were-
to send out with Granicus white paper, that was really the
Yep.
source that we used to pull all of these different points from, so.
Yeah, Granicus did a good thing on trying to say to the local municipality why you would implement short-term rental regulations. Do you want to eliminate them? Do you want to encourage them? And what laws do you want to do to accommodate your goals? So that was a good fact finding sheet there. But
And I think what they were encouraging is that as towns tailor these laws to their individual needs, that they do it from a policy basis, as opposed to just, well, we don't want this, or we don't want that, but to have policy reasons for doing it. So,
And we're hoping to be able to start collecting the tax on January 1. Or Granicus will collect it.
Yeah.
If everything goes according to the way it should go.
So I'll check with Chris and make sure that goes out. 'Cause
Yeah.
We should probably get that out ahead of the other letters.
When granted, they collect it, that all goes in the pot, the county.
It goes in the county, and then we're gonna distribute it based on revenue generated within your town.
So it'll be, you know, approximately 30% of the,
So it won't be, if you have more in your town, it's gonna be spread evenly.
no, if you have more in your town, you'll
You're
get.
gonna get more money, yeah.
And this excludes Hudson.
Yes.
It's just.
They already have
They already have a tax in place, right? And we don't know really yet what's gonna happen to the state tax, if anything,
No.
because that bill was not signed, so that's unclear.
She has to the end of the year though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but she still has a lot of downstate position for that.
I'm glad we didn't wait this time.
Me too. So we have a motion. Now we can.
Just wait, you might have something else you wanna talk about. You got a half hour.
Nope, that was it.
Okay, now I need a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor? Thank you.